Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for joining us here at 816 Podcasting and presenting episode 1 From Sacko To Shiva, Fantasy Football, with your hosts Chase and Anthony. Today we will be reviewing the first week of preseason and all the big news from last week. We've also prepared a little quickfire round for you guys, and I'll give you some of my busts, breakouts, and bounce back candidates of this year.
All right, episode 1. I gotta be honest, man, this name is awesome. I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's completely unique. Every fantasy football fan's gonna get it.
If they don't get it, they haven't been a fantasy football player for long.
If you don't get the name, watch the show called The League. It's absolutely phenomenal. If you don't like fantasy football and you're listening to this podcast just to support us, watch this show called The League. It has a fantasy football
premise,
but it's really a show for everybody. It's awesome.
Oh, I agree.
So
we got news.
Yeah, big news.
Last week, the NFL announces Ezekiel Elliott of the Cowboys is suspended 6 games.
So, big question. How does this affect Zeke's draft position? That's the big one. Because can you take him before the 4th? Before the 3rd? No, right?
On my list, I still have him ranked, I believe, top 10.
Oh, that's ridiculous. 6 games?
Well, look at it this way. No, I have him ranked 11. Look at it this way. When he comes back from that suspension, if you can make it to the playoffs, he then wins you the playoffs. So you can't drop him that much. Yeah, you got to figure out what you have to do for those first 7 weeks.
But to take a high pick on him. How soon would you draft him? That's the big question for me.
I think I'll draft him at the 2-3 turn.
You're ridiculous.
If
you can have him. In our draft, you can have him.
I'm just saying, I think that's the earliest I would go for him.
I think the earliest I would go is round 4. Maybe late round 3. That's the earliest for me. And I still wouldn't feel comfortable, man.
It's
that O-line is so good that they're going to make Darren McFadden look good. So, yeah, that's another question. How does this affect other Cowboys players?
Well, Darren McFadden immediately jumps up the draft boards.
Because, he's a handcuff for sure. For anyone who was going to draft Zeke anyway. But
handcuffs, so you're going to draft super, super late anyways. But now he doesn't become just a handcuff. He becomes a staple for the 6-7 weeks Ezekiel Elliott's out.
Yeah, he has to be.
So, and then, how does it affect Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant?
Well, I don't know, because you think it would affect them for sure, because Zeke's running game definitely opened up the passing and, Dez. But at the same time, was it Zeke or was it that O-line, man? Because they made, the year before Zeke came in, they made Darren McFadden, washed up Darren McFadden from Oakland look good, man. So maybe it doesn't affect them too much at all.
I think it affects them still quite a bit, because the thing is Ezekiel Elliott is that person that can take one play and destroy the other team. Darren McFadden, he was a 5-yard rusher. Ezekiel Elliott, he had that potential for every run to be a touchdown. Every time he touched the ball, that guy, he's talented. And I'm an Eagles fan, and I'm talking about this guy.
Yeah. It's. I don't think it affects the other players as much as...
I think it does, because their schedule was much tougher than what it was last year.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people don't realize that.
But that's still the best O-line in football.
Ezekiel Elliott got to run all over these weak defenses, and now this year they got a much tougher schedule. You can have a top O-line, and when you're facing garbage teams, you're going to look great.
Do you have the stats on the defenses he faced?
Yeah. Last year, 12 of their 16 games were against bottom 10 defenses. Of those... And then of the other 4 games that they had, they were against top 12 defenses. 2 of them were top 5, which was New York Giants. In those games, Dak Prescott only threw for 45% completion in one, 55 in another, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. That's in 2 games. That's not good stats for.
You're hating on Dak Prescott now. No, we went from talking about.
I'm just saying, that's how that O-line with Ezekiel Elliott affected them against a top 5 team.
But how many top 5 teams are they going to face this year? Based off last year's stats, I would say.
Based off
last year's top 5 defenses.
Based off last year's stats, the Cowboys will be facing 5 top 5 teams. Or no, 7 top 5 defenses.
Oh, wow.
5 bottom 10 defenses.
7 top 5?
Because 2 with the Giants. Then they other matchups throughout the year. They got Denver. They got Chiefs.
Man.
Those are some tough
Yeah, that's
matchups.
pretty good.
And then there's a few other games, and it's just like that's...
What week do they play the Chiefs? Do you know that? We'd have to look that
not
up.
off the top of my head. We would have to look that
Because
up.
I know the Chiefs are like horrible rushing attacks, so if Zeke's back for that, or even McFadden, like they're horrible.
But they added Benny Logan, who was a top 5 rushing defender last year.
Over from Philly.
Who can stop the run by himself, which frees up D Ford, frees up Justin Houston, frees up all those guys to just do their game, chase after the quarterback, and stop the outside run where Benny Logan's gonna stop him in the middle. Like he's gonna swarm that hole.
I think that was one of the big reasons they got Benny Logan. Obviously.
Oh, without a doubt, because his stats were way better than who was it? Poe that they cut.
Yeah,
he's more
Poe's
athletic.
Gone.
He's younger.
Well, Poe's pretty athletic for a 300-pound guy. You're not giving him enough credit.
If you saw Benny Logan play, like he passes the eye test. But we're getting off the topic of fantasy.
Let's get back to the big news before we really go into like all of our lists and who we got going this year and stuff. Tannehill's out for the season.
Yep,
partially torn ACL. He should have got surgery on it back in December.
However,
now he's opting in.
Out.
Yeah, now he's opting in. So Jay Cutler is the guy in Miami. How does this affect Miami fantasy wise?
Jay Ajayi stays about the same.
Yeah, for me, it kind of just steadies the ship. Whereas you thought everyone was going to plummet. For me, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt. It kind of just keeps things the same.
I move my needle down a little bit on Jarvis Landry. However, Devontae Parker, Jay Cutler loves his big receivers. He loves him. Look what he did with Brandon Marshall. Look what he did with Alshon Jeffrey. He loves those big receivers he can rely on. And if Devontae Parker can prove that he can be relied on with Jay Cutler, if they can get a rapport together, I imagine that Devontae Parker could finish as a top 30 wide receiver this year.
12-team league. Do you draft Jay Cutler?
No.
Really? Yeah. I see that. To me, he's Friends top 15. We both did our top 15 quarterback list to present today. We're going to do a top 15 each week. At a different position, and he didn't make my top 15, but I could see someone taking him. He's always been a good fantasy producer.
I'm not going to take Jay Cutler unless it's on a DraftKings, or a daily fantasy, I should say.
You're not going to get stuck with him, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not going to get stuck with him because his swings are so dramatic. It's the lowest of the lows, and it can be a 20-point QB one week. He can get you 5 points one and 20 points the next.
Yeah.
It's hard to
rely on.
Get you
negative points one. It's crazy.
Oh, my God. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick last year.
Way too many interceptions and fumbles for Cutler. Way too many turnovers.
All right, so the other news that I want to touch down on.
Well, we had a couple big trades.
Yeah. Watkins to the Rams. Jordan Matthews to the Bills in a 3-team trade.
It wasn't a 3-team trade. It was 2 separate trades.
No, but it's being referred to in the news as a 3-team trade.
It's because it all happened at the same time.
It happened simultaneously, and it's one of those things that kind of reminds you of like an NBA thing, and it kind of gives me hope that one day, especially with this past year, the Cleveland Browns taking a cap dump on Brock Osweiler just to get a second-round pick. I was like, that's NBA style.
That's what Boston's been doing.
I know,
yeah,
and that's why Boston's turning into the team.
We're talking about the Celtics, not the Patriots, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only team that anybody outside of...
But they took... The difference with Boston was they took expiring contracts. So, we'll pay them just a certain amount of money, but then after the end of the year, they're gone.
But they stacked their picks
Yeah,
up.
and they
you
got
know one
picks.
of their best picks that I...
So, how does Watkins-Matthews... Back to football, how does this affect Matthews and Watkins?
Matthews... There was another...
It's an improvement, right? This is way better.
Okay, this at first was great for Jordan Matthews. Because now he's the number 1 receiver, right?
Exactly. He's not competing with Alshon Jeffrey. He's not competing with Torrey Smith.
He just got injured.
Matthews did?
Jordan Matthews got injured. It was announced he had chest pain last Saturday, or on the first practice he had with the Bills. He had chest pain, so he went to go get checked out. Today it came back that he has a fractured disc in his pec.
Oh man, I was really looking forward to drafting.
So right, so now it's one of those things that's a sensitive injury that can plague you for the whole season, or for a while until it's healed. Coming from a guy who in his 3 years has only missed 2 games. I mean, he's never been aside from his one breakout year, he's never been a really fantasy relevant person.
Right. And last year he completely tanked as the number one option.
So if Matthews didn't get hurt, I'd be higher on him, but now he's dropped down drastically for me. However, Watkins going to the Rams, a lot of people were way down on Watkins.
I'm one of those people, so let's talk about it.
I'm keeping him right where he was.
He's got a rookie quarterback in Goff. He's going from Tyrod Taylor to Jared Goff.
Goff's
That's not
a
an
rookie
improvement.
quarterback. It's his second year.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Experience, okay.
Yeah.
Like I got.
He's had 1 year in the league. I don't think the only thing I think this might help Todd Gurley. I think it's gonna.
I
they
think
have
this
to
helps
spread
the
the
whole
defense
team because last year they were treating Tavon Austin as your number one guy. He's not a number one wide receiver. He's a slot, maybe.
They drafted him as a number one wide receiver. He was a first round pick.
He's never produced it. They paid him as it. He's never been a true number one receiver. But with Watkins, they have that number one potential with him. As long as he's healthy, he's a top 10 wide receiver.
Listen, no one's disputing Sammy Watkins' ceiling. His ceiling is through the roof, but his floor, he's so injury prone too. It's such a sketchy pick.
What it does for that team is it finally gives Tavon Austin a time to be that number 2 that he needs to be.
So you think this improves Tavon Austin's?
I think it improves Tavon Austin. I think it improves Jared Goff. I think it improves Todd Gurley. I'm not drafting Jared Goff. I'm just saying maybe in a daily fantasy draft, I'll pick him up as a flyer, as a sleeper.
Oh.
Okay, Todd Gurley. Okay, you have that number one receiver and you have that burner now. You have that guy that you can rely on to catch the deep ball or to like how he was with Tyrod Taylor. So now Jared Goff has the opportunity to use his arm that he has. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying the opportunity is there. It's definitely changing that team. They bolster their offensive line a little bit on the offseason. They're trying to give Jared Goff the tools he needs. Yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. And you're probably not going to see a lot of fantasy relevance out of anybody outside Sammy Watkins and Todd Gurley on that team. And I'm not saying Sammy Watkins is going to be in the first 3 weeks a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, but he's definitely a solid flex.
He's definitely relevant, is what you're saying.
Yes, and Todd Gurley, he's definitely a high-end RB2.
He's an RB1, right? No. He has to be.
Look at what he did
he's ranked. I've seen him he's consensus. He's like a consensus top 10 running back or consensus top 15.
But the thing is
and you're not gonna call him RB1?
Well, top 15 is not RB1; it's RB2.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is. The reason why they call it RB1 and RB2 is RB1 is the first 12 RBs off the board for the first 12 teams. Those are RB1s.
Where is he ranked out of the top 10?
Where's he ranked out of the top 10? A lot of places.
Where do you have him ranked? Because I know you do your homework. I know you have all your lists.
Ooh, I actually am higher than I thought on him. I have him at 12.
So he's borderline RB1. Low end RB1, high end RB2.
High RB2, low RB1.
Okay.
How about that?
So, other news. Flacco's going to be back week 1. Bucks cut a guy who Chicago picks him. We don't really care about any of that.
What about Andrew Luck? What's going on with him?
Oh. Okay, when we did our top 15, that was the hardest for me is where to put Andrew Luck because I wanted him to go out. Everyone's saying he's going to be back week 1 now. Mm-hmm. To me, that sucks. I would rather him take time off, get better, come back. We know what he can do.
See, if they put him on the PUP list, I would know immediately where to draft him.
Exactly, but with him coming back, but he's still kind of going to be hurt and not 100%. Now it's a question, and it's a hard one to answer.
Yeah, it's tough.
To me, this hurts his draft. For sure, he would have been
For me, if I draft him, I have to feel like I'm stealing him right now.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not going to see
this hurts everybody on the team too.
You're not going to see me take Andrew Luck any earlier than in the 9th round.
It's Andrew Luck.
And
he could easily finish in the top 5, but I'm not going to.
He could easily finish in the top 3.
This is just a sketchy situation where he's going to be playing hurt
if
not 100%.
If he had his 2014 season this year, he's number 1 QB.
So let's talk about preseason. Denver, Chicago. Everyone's calling for Trubisky.
There's going to be 2 sides of every fence on this. Trubisky.
Which side are you on?
Let me say both sides of the fence, and then I'll tell you which side I'm on.
No. You don't get to do that.
Okay, I like Trubisky, but let me say what I need to say on it. Now, Trubisky, yeah, people are going to say he was playing against third teams and all that stuff. Yeah, of course.
I'm going to say that.
Everybody is playing against that. However, there's that thing when you watch players. Do they have the it factor? You know, like, do they look confident? Do they look poised? Do they look flustered? Looking back at Johnny Manziel when he first did his preseason games, he looked flustered. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Okay, so hold on. So my question is, do you think Trubisky should start?
Yes.
Okay, I disagree. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Mike Glennon, 2 for 8, 20 yards, interception. Pick 6 even. Okay? Against one of the top defenses in football. That's not really fair. Trubisky, 18 for 25, 166 yards, a touchdown. 3 rushes, 38 yards. Listen, this is what you want out of your rookie, to go out there, not make many mistakes. He played well against scrubs, man. And
all right, here.
Glennon signed let's talk about Glennon's contract. He signed a 3-year, $45 million contract with a $3 million signing bonus. 18.5 of that is guaranteed. And he's just this year alone, he's going to take a $14 million cap hit. You do not pay a guy that to sit on the bench and be your number 2. Chicago needs to relax. They need to take a patient approach with Trubisky. Yes, he's your guy of the future.
But do you realize that the way they constructed that contract is that after next year they can cut him with only taking a 3.5 mil hit and owe him nothing else. So he becomes an immediate backup. They used him as a stopgap, but the potential to go
exactly. But they have him for this year, and they're going to use him, and they need to. Like, there's no doubt Trubisky's going to start this year. It's a matter of
I say by week 3.
It's a matter of when. Well, I hope they can hold out to like around week 10, because it's going to be hard. The frenzy's already started. Like, people overreact, man. As sports fans, we overreact. This is a huge overreaction. People, calm down. If you're Chicago fans, you should really calm down. You should really want Trubisky to sit back, learn a little bit.
You should, but like if I was a coach and all that, with what I saw, I would definitely give Trubisky this coming up week.
How do you think Trubisky would have done against Denver's first team defense? A rookie coming in against that defense. Dude, he might have put up the same numbers as Glennon.
Or he might have done the same that he just did.
No way. Like, he wouldn't have done the same. He wouldn't have done... I don't think he would have done as bad as Glennon. Like, 2 for 8, 20 yards, a pick 6, 4 scoreless drives. But he's not putting up 18 for 25, 166, and a TD against guys like Von Miller, bruh. CJ Harris? No, it's not going to happen.
All right, fair enough. Let's look at a different team. Deshaun Watson, Tom Savage, Houston Texans.
I like Watson here.
Really? Because now you're jumping the fence.
Now I'm flipping script.
I know, and that's why I brought it up.
Because they don't have a better option there. Like, Glennon's a capable guy.
Okay,
I mean, he's like, what? This is only like his 3rd year in the
DeAndre Hopkins has endorsed Tom Savage. He said via Twitter that he wants, or that Tom Savage has his mark of approval.
You really want Savage to start?
No, I don't. I think Deshaun Watson, again.
You're just arguing for arguing's sake?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you flipped the script and all that.
I definitely did.
So I want.
But this is a different situation.
But another thing that I liked about Deshaun Watson is, he needs to work on his throws. Like, and I'm not saying, like, they were completely terrible, but some of them were off by wide margins. However, he was extending the plays with his feet. He was being mobile. He reminded me of Russell Wilson. The way that crappy O-line that Seattle has, and Russell Wilson can somehow extend those plays to get out of sacks, to get a first down.
He's so elusive, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Russell Wilson is one of the most underrated quarterbacks ever.
And with a shitty O-line. And the thing with Deshaun Watson, though...
He's 5'9". Nobody,
5'10".
Nobody, gives him credit, man, for what he does.
Yeah. He's great. Every year he has the potential of being a top 5 QB. Last year he was plagued by injury.
Cleveland. Who you taking, Osweiler or Kaiser?
That's a tough one.
Kaiser wowed, man. He 11 for 18, 184 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 rushes for 12 yards. It's not that he did so good, because he did do well, obviously. It's just that everyone else did bad. Kessler, Osweiler, they just terrible.
I think Deshaun Kaiser starts as the week 1 starter.
I do too.
I'm not saying
Well, actually, I
proud of
disagree.
it.
I think they'll do Osweiler just because it's Cleveland. They mess everything up.
I don't. I think Hugh Jackson is going to go with the young, talented guy.
I hope so.
All right. How about the implications of Jordan Matthews leaving the Eagles for Mac Hollins? What does that do for Mac Hollins and Nelson Aguilar, who both look decent in the preseason debut?
You think Nelson Aguilar is fantasy relevant? Maybe in 12-team leagues?
In deeper leagues,
definitely in a 12-team.
In deeper leagues, yes. He's definitely fantasy relevant. I think Mac Hollins is going to be a waiver wire pickup probably by week 4. Another player I'm actually interested in a lot, who's a deep, deep sleeper for me, Kenny Golladay of Detroit Lions. In the first half, 2 TDs. And it wasn't by Stafford. It was by their backup, Boykin, I believe. And they weren't good throws. But Kenny Golladay is an athletic big man. You know what that reminds me of? And I'm not comparing him to, but it reminds me of how Stafford had
Calvin Johnson, Megatron. Baby.
If he can get a target like that
again,
if he can get another athletic guy, I'm not saying he's an athletic freak like Megatron, but if he can get another big athletic guy, why not use him as a target monster? Red zone threat.
Jacksonville, New England. Jacksonville wins 31-24. Leonard Fournette gets his first NFL TD, first of many. Mm-hmm. Now it's being reported he has a foot injury, but that he's only going to miss 1 preseason game.
Okay, so if he misses 1 preseason game and there's nothing about that foot injury, where do you take Fournette?
Well, he's not much of a receiving back, so it depends on if we're talking standard or PPR.
He can receive the ball, but you got to think he's
generally
a big
don't throw,
man.
Right?
He is big. Like, that guy is all muscle, and he's over, he's 6'3", 6'4"? But the thing is Jacksonville wants to run the ball.
They do.
And they know if they give him the ball three times in a row, 3 downs in a row, they got a first down. And if they know that, the thing is what are they going to do the next 3 runs or the 3 downs? 3 more runs. Because if you can take a guy like that, and get a first down,
I think they're starting to realize Bortles isn't their guy, or at least I hope they do.
I think that's one of the big reasons why they got Fournette, because they want to get away from giving Bortles the chance to pass the ball. Quit giving him chances to lose you games, because that's what he was doing, is losing you games.
I agree with you 100%.
So where do you take Fournette?
Well, with Zeke going out, he's got to be way up there now. He's got to be...
He was already at the 2-3 turn.
Yeah, I think he's middle 2, top 2.
Really?
I really do.
I don't know if I could go top 2 on that.
I just think there's so few elite running backs now in the draft. Like, there's so many great receivers,
I agree with that,
but like...
It's still hard
to... It feels like a shallow running back division. It feels like top heavy and then like, eh.
There's a drastic drop off.
Yeah,
after,
so I mean...
6?
I think people are going to be fighting more to get one of the elite running backs. And so I think I would take him pretty early.
He's still a chance. He's still a risk.
He is, but I mean, like our league's PPR, so I'm not going to take him second, but well, unless it's like late second, but in standard leagues, man, easy.
Another interesting running back that we haven't touched on yet. Another rookie, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, boy.
He looks good.
He does look good.
I'm really intrigued to see what he can do.
It was just a good day for rookies all around, I think.
There's one other top running back that we haven't, or 2 other top running backs that we haven't talked about yet that have some news on them. LaShawn McCoy. How does this affect him with losing Sammy Watkins, getting Jordan Matthews? What happens to him?
His draft stays the same, but now that Zeke moves out, it pushes him up 1.
Well, obviously it pushes him up 1 because he was already the 4th ranked running back. But
he's going earlier now.
I would this is going to be swinging a big bat. I would probably take him 4th overall.
No, I don't think that's swinging a big bat. I think that's about where he should be.
So you think?
I agree with you. I love Shady, man. He's a dual back. He gets just as many rushing.
Sammy Watkins, gaining an injured Jordan Matthews. This is a huge hot take.
What is he, like 2 years away from getting like 2,000 all-purpose yards or something?
Well, no. This is a huge hot take for me. But I think he could probably lead the Bills in receiving yards.
Oh, that's not sketchy. I mean, it kind of is, but
team, like I'm talking about the entire team. Like, so he's going to be the lead rusher, clearly, and the lead receiver on that team.
Maybe. That could happen.
So you're talking 1,000 yards receiving and 1,000 yards rushing is what I'm saying.
Who's there to do anything about it besides Matthews?
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor's not going to outrush him. Yeah.
So that I'm almost like, do you take him above Antonio Brown?
No,
you can't.
No,
too many targets.
Yeah, and he's just too good.
All right. So,
but 4th overall isn't crazy because then you draft him over Julio
and Odell.
Yeah. So I would do that. I love Shady.
All right.
Dual threat. He's gonna get you touchdowns.
Another news for running backs. Devontae Freeman concussion,
and he got the highest paid contract for a running back. Which outdid Shady.
As years go on, contracts are always going to be like that.
Is it $12.5 million a year now for Devontae Freeman? And it's setting the bar.
Which is going to help Le'Veon Bell and his.
Or was that? No, that wasn't Devontae's contract. That was what Le'Veon Bell got offered and turned down.
2.8 is his franchise tag for Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, he's still holding out, man.
Which is not looking good for him.
Well, let's talk about Freeman. The concussion, not too much to worry about. It's still preseason. That contract, though. For a guy who's getting like 50 or, sharing the ball with Tevin Coleman, that really sets the bar for real elite running backs.
Yeah, it does.
Because you have to demand more than that.
But the thing that I'm actually more worried about is actually the concussion. Because look at how the league's been with people with concussions, especially with all the CTE stuff going on. People have been having concussions linger on them for a while. Like, people have missed multiple games, been out 2 months at a time due to concussions.
Those are like real severe cases you're talking about. Like, that's not like a common thing.
Okay, but do we know how bad his concussion is?
We don't, but it's still early. We still got, we're still good 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out. So we're good.
Ryan Matthews last year missed, 3 games due to a concussion?
Yeah. He's always been injury prone. I don't know what that was.
I'm just saying,
there are cases of that, yeah.
And even mild concussions, until they can clear that protocol, they can't come back on the field. There's so many different protocols they have to clear, so it depends on how well he gets through that. And let's say worst case scenario, he starts to slip, and you don't see him in any of the next preseason games, and week 1 comes along. Where do you put Tevin Coleman at?
I don't know.
He has to fly up your draft board, right?
Yeah.
You have
maybe.
You have to if you.
I don't think I think you're overreacting.
No, I'm just doing a hypothetical. Like, if Devontae Freeman's off that board,
he's not off the board. He might fall. He's not off the board.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, Coleman obviously goes way up. If whatever reason Devontae Freeman's not ready to go opening day, it's gonna cause big concerns for the rest of the season. Obviously, especially if it's from a concussion in week 1.
All right. So you want to get into some of our QB rankings?
Let's do it, man. We worked. I put a lot of thought into this list.
Well, let's see what you got.
Well, let's start with number 1 and go down, because I feel like anyone can do like a top 5, right? So it's when you start getting lower, that's when you got to really start getting in the nitty gritty. But we both went off the beaten path here for number 1. The consensus number 1 for everybody is Aaron Rodgers.
Correct.
Mine is Tom Brady. Yours is
Tom
Brady. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Tom Brady.
The reason why I put Tom Brady ahead, he's older.
Well, first of all, that offense is awesome.
It's Belichick why I put Tom Brady ahead. Because every time the Packers get up in a game, they could be up 21-7 at halftime. What do they do the rest of the game?
They run the ball.
Even though they don't have a running game.
They milk the clock.
That's all they're trying to do is trying to win. Okay, we're up. Now let's win. Where the Patriots, when Tom Brady has them up 21-7 at halftime, that game finishes 48-7. They start
Belichick stomps on that throat, man. There's no easing up. There's no taking your foot off the gas pedal. They pour it on.
He's out there to finish them like Mortal Kombat.
It was awesome to go off script, pick Tom Brady, and then realize you'd done the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. It was great.
So second, Aaron Rodgers.
Clearly, he's
still
Rodgers.
The best QB of our generation, in my opinion.
Now here's where we start to differ.
Yeah.
Number 3,
Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. I'm going with the MVP.
Drew Brees.
It'll be his 3rd year in this offense. He's taken the first year is shaky, second year
has won MVP. The next year they regress.
Yeah, everyone's saying the Atlanta's on a comeback tour, man. They were so close.
That's what they said about Carolina after Cam won the MVP. They were on a comeback tour. Look what they did.
I don't want to hear about. I don't want to compare Cam to like Matt Ryan. I don't think they're in the same league.
I'm just saying. I look to see Matt Ryan start off like how I always.
You
does.
knew it was bad when Cam Newton's in the Super Bowl and Denver's warming up and Cam Newton's doing interviews. You're like, this kid's not ready, man. I give a little bit more faith to Matty Ice here, and he's my 3rd overall. And you picked Drew Brees?
I picked Drew Brees. It's hard.
He's so consistent. It's hard to go away from
11 seasons of being a top 5 QB.
That's insane. That's awesome.
11 seasons.
And that's why he's my number 4.
My number 4 is Matt Ryan. So we have those flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Now, here's where we get to back on the same path. Number 5.
Big Ben?
Big Ben.
There we go.
However, he probably should be lower.
Man, I've seen...
And it's just based off of one thing.
I was actually looking at other people's rankings to try to formulate, and nobody had him this high. Nobody whatsoever. I get that in the last 5 years he's had one top 5 season, but mainly that's been to injuries to him or to the top offensive talents around him. Well, or suspensions to Bell or Bryan.
The reason why I would have him lower possibly is because his home and away splits are drastic.
He's got one of the best arms in the league. If he's the top 2 as far as like just throwing down the field. You're right about his home and away splits though. Like he clearly is way better at home than he is on the road.
There is one thing I do that I'm very excited about. Is if Martavis Bryant gets fully reinstated, it'll be the first time Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Martavis Bryant have been on the same field in 3 years.
And that's why he's a top 5 for me. I'm so excited about this.
Not Drew Brees, but Ben Roethlisberger, when he had all 3 of them on the field back in 2014, his statistics to finish the season was going to be 4,800 yards, 42 TDs, and 17 interceptions. Martavis Bryant was on course for 1,200 yards. Antonio Brown was on pace for 1,700 yards. And receiving, Le'Veon Bell was on pace for 900 yards.
All right, so number 6. Who you got? I got Russell Wilson.
I actually have Russell Wilson as well.
Oh, pretty good.
However, he may drop because that first drive they had the other day, he left the field with a minor ankle injury.
And he still doesn't have the best O-line, but he's so awful. Good at just... the worst in the league. Yeah, he's so good at just creating out of nothing, man. And if he starts to lean on Jimmy Graham like he did at the end of the season last season, he could easily be a top 6 quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. So number 7, Kirk Cousins.
We agree again. This is awful.
Wow.
No controversy whatsoever. Kirk Cousins, number 7 on my list. I love him, man. The guy's, he just racks up big yards.
I think they're in the top 5 most passing offense.
Yeah. I don't think losing Pierre Garçon hurts them.
The Eagles
hurts them much at all.
I think they were 5th. And then I think the Chargers were another team that was in the top 5.
If they can really get a run game going, man, they can really contend in an NFC East, in my opinion.
All right, number 8.
Andrew Luck.
Wow. Interesting. Did you copy my list, sir?
Did I see your list?
Yeah.
Oh, I did see it for a second last night, but that was like really like half a second.
All right.
Yeah, he fell. He can easily be top 5, top 3.
He could still fall more for me too, depending on.
Yeah, he could like it was hard to put him where I put him because there's so much uncertainty. Like people are like, oh, he's gonna start. What are you talking about?
He's not injured.
He's not gonna be 100%. There's no way he's 100%. I would rather him take time off and get better and then come back, and then we know who we're getting.
I agree.
I think this hurts T.Y. stock. I think it hurts everybody across the board.
All right, number 9 for me, and I'm really excited about this person because I am super high on him this year. Cam Newton.
Well, that's my number 9, but I'm not as excited as you are, so why don't you go ahead.
So, he finally has a Kelvin Benjamin that's lost weight, a lot of weight, and he looked good in the preseason, Kelvin Benjamin. We haven't seen Cam Newton throw yet. I want to see how he looks in the preseason, but I think he has the potential of being a top 5 QB.
He's supposed to play next week, right, Cam?
Oh, it hasn't been announced yet.
Okay, well, I don't talk to me about Kelvin Benjamin, man. He was awful last year. He started out so good, and he was getting like 13 targets a game. Like he was there in
the first 3 weeks.
Target-wise, he was there for the entire season. He just like couldn't catch the ball, or like most of them were like bad passes.
It was hitting his little love handles.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Kelvin Benjamin.
All right, number 10.
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford.
Oh my gosh, I hate you.
A lot of people were lower on Matt Stafford.
Oh, that's a mistake.
It's Jim Bob Cooter. Like, ever since Jim Bob Cooter came into Detroit and took over.
We need to just post this as 816 podcasting quarter top 15 instead of mine versus yours because they're the same.
Right. All right, number 11.
Jameson Winston.
Negative, sir.
Yay!
Derek Carr.
Dude, him and Mike Evans are going to take another big step. I like the Derek Carr pick, though, because I was really high on Derek Carr this year. I really am.
The only thing that I'm really intrigued is, does the year 3 rule work for Amari Cooper? That wide receivers always take the biggest step forward in their 3rd year.
Was that a thing?
Yeah.
And he's got Crabtree again. Crabtree was so good for him last year. Helped him out. They weren't even like a 1 and 2. They were just 1 and 1.
Not really. It was
1A, 1B. It was more like Cooper getting the yards and Crabtree getting the touchdowns.
In the red zone, Cooper only had 1 reception in the red zone on 24 targets.
That's what I'm saying. It was all Crabtree in the red zone.
Well, no, the thing, you couldn't rely on Cooper in the red zone. He had 24 targets in the red zone and only had 1 reception. That's what I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, I thought
I'm saying Crabtree was the one getting the red zone targets and getting the touchdowns.
Crabtree was so reliable.
If I remember right, I traded Jordan Matthews to you last year for Michael Crabtree, and it almost won me the season.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I got the Philly fan in you.
Yep. All right, number 12.
Phillip Rivers.
Jameis Winston.
Oh, okay.
I'm Jameis Winston. Each of his years has gotten better and better and better. No regression. He still is looking like a very young guy,
and
right?
he's got one of the best receivers to throw to.
He is so talented.
Mike Evans, man. Yeah, Jameis Winston.
Football IQ is just through the roof. He's learning very well, and he's not going out there and trying to be your Odell Beckham or Ezekiel Elliott. He's not trying to be that guy that's in the wrong spotlight. He's really just trying to be the leader. And if you watch like Hard Knocks, he looks like he's really that leader of that team, and people respect him.
You know, it reminds me of like Odell. Like how Odell really makes Eli Manning look good when Eli Manning's kind of a bad quarterback, and people don't want to admit it. But to me, like, it's the same thing. Like, Mike Evans really makes Jameis Winston look good. I think the difference is Jameis Winston's a good quarterback. But to have, like, that security blanket to throw to a guy like Evans who can go up in double coverage like he did last year and just always bring it down.
And now you add Deshaun
Jackson. It's so good. Yeah, man. It's going to be a great year for Winston.
Like, they definitely gave him his weapons that he needed. And I think he's going to take another step forward. I think he has the potential.
I think they'll have a backfield like Atlanta, too. I think when Doug Martin comes back, it's going to be 50-50 with him and Jaquez Rodgers. And I think it's really going to open up the passing game there.
Although Doug Martin, man, he has some dance moves when he's moving down that field.
Doug Martin was so good last year, too.
By it.
Yeah, man.
All right,
okay.
Number 13.
This is where I have Derek Carr.
This is where you have Derek Carr.
I love Derek Carr as a quarterback. I just think
you didn't tell me about Phillip Rivers.
Oh, that's all right. We can go over. We don't need to go over every name. We still got a lot to go with your list of boom bust breakouts. I have Derek Carr here mainly because it's just it's still just a run first offense. They got
Marcus Mariota. They gave him a lot of offensive help this year. He hasn't had a true number one receiver.
But that is another team that's so run heavy with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. Like, they are a run first team.
But look at it this way: Marcus Mariota gets rushes too.
No, because he did in college. He's making a concerted effort to stay in the pocket and not go with his instinct.
That's not him. That's just their play calling. That's what they're wanting.
Yeah, but they don't want him to go out and take the hits, and they want him to be a pocket quarterback, and he's evolving into that. I don't see him as a big rusher.
Drafting Corey Davis, if he returns healthy, was great. He was my number one wide receiver in the draft this year. Then adding Eric Decker. Every time Eric Decker has gone to a new team, that first year back with that team, he has been one of those guys that just raises your eyebrows like, wow, how is he still doing it?
Eric Decker's definitely going to raise the bar.
Because he's a great
He's definitely going to help out.
Like, he's just crazy. All right, 14.
Dak Prescott.
No. Andy Dalton.
Yeah, I know you're like super low on Prescott too. Like you actually have like you've done research on why he's awful.
Yeah, I have him ranked at 19th overall for me.
You want to go over that real quick?
Why he's awful?
Yeah.
Well, it just has to do with how easy his schedule was last year compared to how hard it is this year. Like last year.
Oh, so you don't really think he's awful just so much as he's going to regress?
It's not like, okay, when you put somebody that high on a pedestal, how everybody did, like, and I know everybody's gonna say I'm biased because I'm an Eagles fan and he's a Cowboys player, but the thing is against top defenses, he did nothing. Like, he did what Mike Glennon did against the Denver Broncos.
He was still just a rookie, and I mean, for sure, there's no way he replicates his rookie season. Like that was a crazy year.
And it wasn't even like he threw for a lot of yards or anything like that. It wasn't groundbreaking stats.
So he's definitely going to come back in that sense, but I don't think
I don't think he's any better this year than he was last year.
I think you're too low on him. I think you're crazy. My 15 is a little weird. I couldn't decide. I wanted Mariota, but like I said, that's a real run first team, and Mariota doesn't run. So I went Carson Palmer. He's been consistent for so many years.
Except for last year.
Besides, last year was his first down year. I think he's... Like, if I was doing this bounce back list like you're doing, Carson Palmer would be on there for me. Maybe it was Father Time catching up with him. Maybe not. I think he's got too many weapons, man.
I think what hurt him was all last year John Brown was hurt, who was his really good burner. Like, they had J.J. Nelson, but he had reception issues, so he had a lot of dropped passes. All right? Now you have David Johnson, John Brown, Larry Fitz, and people were way too low on Larry Fitz, in my opinion, because the guy is a target machine, and he's
another guy who's just like
possession receiver that they need. It's not the red zone.
He's another guy that's just a model for consistency.
I know, it's a guy that's going to get you that first down every week in fantasy. Larry Fitzgerald's going to get you 10 plus points.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not looking at him to like win you that week, but you're definitely making sure you don't get a goose egg in that spot because of him. Wow. And I think that helps.
So who is your 15?
Carson Palmer.
Oh, okay. So we agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for our top 15 quarterbacks. Next week, we're going to do running backs. Top 15, and we'll go over those two.
I think we should go deeper than 15 for running backs. Because it's such a...
Let's do 25. Now let's get into your breakouts, bounce backs, and busts.
All right. Breakouts for me this year. People you should watch out for. This may sound like I'm biased, and I'm a little bit. But for QBs... My number one QB breakout this year is Carson Wentz.
Okay, explain.
Last year, he showed great poise in the pocket. He looked like he was a veteran in his rookie year. We had to deal with...
That's the beginning of the season.
Huh? Before we lost Lane Johnson to a 10-game suspension.
Okay.
Okay, his numbers with Lane Johnson in and Lane Johnson out is a big difference because Lane Johnson is a top 5 tackle in the league. You were even with me watching that game where they started that rookie right tackle.
Listen,
Ryan Kerrigan destroyed him.
I'm on the Wentz wagon. I'm just trying to create. I'm trying to question you and make you defend yourself.
I'm completely okay with that. But I think adding Alshon Jeffrey, bringing in Torrey Smith, who's a true burner, like Torrey Smith, people want to like, oh well, he fell off when we went to San Francisco. In 2 years of being at San Francisco, he had the same amount of targets as he did in 2 years at San Francisco as he did in his last year with Baltimore. This guy's won a Super Bowl. All right? He's good. And you're going to give him half as many targets as he got in 1 year over the course of, like in the next 2 years split up? Like, you can't do that. Like, I mean, you can, but, like, you're not going to get the same production out of him. And, yeah, you're going to hate on him. But I think if you give him those targets, he can prove that he's more than just, like, a one-hit wonder. And then I think Zach Ertz is second year with Zach Ertz. I think you're going to see him and Ertz take another step forward now that Jordan Matthews is gone.
Yeah, he really leaned on Ertz his first year.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And the thing is it was Ertz and Matthews who were his favorite targets.
Ertz is high on my tight ends because of that. Like, they have a real connection, and Ertz has improved every year.
I think Ertz has the same problem as Travis Kelce. They are great for receptions, great for yards.
I don't know if Ertz can improve this year because he's improved every year he's been in the league. But last year he was ranked the number 6 tight end after everything was done. I don't know if he can beat that.
I think he could.
You think he can be a top 5?
Because I think Greg Olsen takes a step back.
Oh, I wouldn't put him over Olsen.
Father time, man.
You need to calm down, bro.
Come on. Before too long, he's going to be out there with tennis balls on his walker.
He could make the top 5. He's not going to beat Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
Bet it.
All right.
Make a bet.
I'll bet.
Bet.
Zach Ertz over Greg Olsen.
All right, we'll remember this.
All right. Wide receivers. One of them I have to take off my list because he got hurt. So I'm just down to one wide receiver breakout. Actually, I'll add somebody else. Kenny Golladay, who I already talked about. He's my breakout, my number 2 breakout. Number 1, Devontae Parker. And it's because of Jay Cutler. Devontae Parker's on my list.
Okay.
All right. Breakout running backs. Amir Abdullah. I think they're going to feature him finally. Finally give him the chance to be the feature back and quit and only bring in Theo Riddick for third down situations.
All right, who else you got?
Paul Perkins.
Oh,
Smash Jackson. All right, bringing in Paul Perkins and New York Giants. I think he's definitely going to take another step forward this year, and I think you can see great things from him.
Do you think he'll take Shane Vereen's spot, or
I think he becomes what Rashad Jennings was a few years ago
in Oakland? Yeah, when he had that great year.
Well, that first before Rashad Jennings got injured with the Giants, what was that? The 2014 season?
Yeah, he was with. That was the year he took over in Oakland, right?
No, that was the year he took over in New York Giants.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was 2013 I'm talking about then.
Okay. Then, tight end. This is probably my favorite breakout on this list. Kyle Rudolph.
Man, everyone's been saying Rudolph for years.
I promise you.
You think this is the year?
Okay. Sam Bradford's favorite target has always been tight end in Philly and St. Louis. Those are his favorite targets because they're big, they're available for checkdowns. He knows they're good for possession. Another thing is this is Sam Bradford's third stop in his career, third different team. At every team he's had, who's his offensive coordinator been? Pat Schumer, who was a tight ends coach at each one of those locations first. And loves Bradford, and he loves Kyle Rudolph. He's the offensive coordinator again. So I think you're going to see, and this is the first, last year, they didn't have an offseason together. Bradford got thrusted in week 2. He had 1 week, because he got traded over there to week 1 of the regular season. He had 1 week to learn that system. So I think you're going to see Rudolph take a big step forward. I think because you're not going to have any of those growing pains.
All right, so let's do bus now that we've done breakout.
Bust. Well, we've already covered one bust, and that was Dak Prescott.
Okay.
Probably my favorite bust on this list is a running back.
Go ahead.
LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, a Philly! Look at you unbiased.
I told you, I am very confident LeGarrette Blount is a bust. There's no way. Okay, and I'm not even saying a bust compared to last season.
So you think Ryan Matthews gets the job, or you think
no? I just don't think he produces I don't think he's going to be fantasy relevant.
Okay.
Last year he had 18 touchdowns, led the league in touchdowns, right?
And you think she's a bust this year?
I think it'd be a stretch to say he gets more than 7 touchdowns. I would say I don't put him for more than probably 890 rushing yards and maybe 100 receiving yards.
I could see him being the goal back though. I think he gets more touchdowns.
The red zone?
Yeah.
I
think he could be the guy pushing it in.
But
Matthews. I think they split carries.
Bringing in Alshon Jeffrey, I think what Mac Hollins brings to the table, I think Zach Ertz, I think you can see a lot of them being featured in the red zone more often.
No, I agree. I'm talking about when you're on the 1-2 yard line.
And I think you get to see Carson Wentz run more like he did in college this year. I think they're going to have more confidence because now they have the weapons to take the pressure off of him so he can run.
You know who my bust is for running back? Who? Bilal Powell. He is the only guy on that team now because Brandon Marshall's gone, Eric Decker's gone, Quincy Nunez hurt. They don't have a court. There's nobody
sleeper on that team.
There's nobody on that team. He's the only guy. Everyone knows about it. Everyone's gonna. I'm not saying don't draft him because he clearly has value in PPR with his receptions. I'm just saying he's not gonna do as well as projected.
I think he can do as well as projected, and it's because the targets have to go somewhere.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to be him, but that doesn't mean he's going to do anything with it.
I think he's definitely going to be a flex option for the whole year. All right, my second bust for running back. I think you're going to hate me a little bit for this one because he's one of your favorite players.
Go ahead.
Marshawn Lynch. Skittles.
Yeah, I do disagree. I love Skittles. I love him in that offense.
But why do you disagree?
Because he's one of the. When's the last time Marshawn Lynch didn't finish top 10 running back? Like
his last season he played.
No.
Look it up.
Okay, was he hurt? What happened?
No, he just didn't produce the whole year. He was just awful. And the thing is Marshawn Lynch, you're bringing in a 31-year-old running back.
Marshawn Lynch is, for me, like I've drafted him. I drafted him my first year. I think my first 2 years I traded for him. Like I've almost always had him, and like he's always been like my top guy. He's always been like my top guy, and he's always produced. I love Skittles fantasy wise. I think he's going to do phenomenal things in Oakland.
I don't. I think he's a bust. I think everybody's with where he's being drafted at. I'm not saying he's not going to do anything.
We need to make a bet on this one too.
But I'm saying
we need to set a marker on this is what he's going to hit, and I'll take the over. You take the under.
So we're going to talk about like he's going to finish top RB1, RB2.
I'm saying Marshawn Lynch top 15 running back this year.
What's he being drafted at right now? What's that ADP?
We can look that up. Hold on.
Marshawn Lynch is being drafted as RB13.
RB13. And I'm okay, so it's not a stretch for me to say 15. You're calling him a bust. You say he doesn't meet that. So
I say
let's do top 15.
I say oh, really? You're going to take... Okay. Fine. I'll take... He does not finish in the top 15 running backs.
That's a bet, sir. You have a bet.
Book it.
We'll find a way to let like the listeners decide what happens with the loser on
like
this.
That. Get the listeners in on it.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Wide receiver bus.
Okay, go ahead.
Another Oakland Raider, Amari Cooper. I just don't trust him. He is not a consistent player, and that's why I think he is being overdrafted. If you're telling me I have to draft Amari Cooper in the 3rd round, and I can draft Michael Crabtree in the 5th round, Michael Crabtree finished as a higher wide receiver than Cooper last year.
Yeah, but that was just solely based off of touchdowns.
I don't see it changing.
But yeah, I mean, obviously you want touchdowns more than anything.
I'm gonna if you tell me I have to take Cooper in the 3rd, or I have the opportunity to take Crabtree in the 5th, I'm taking Crabtree in the 5th, 100% of the time.
No, I agree with you on that one, but I wouldn't call him. It's so hard.
All right, here's my other bust wide receiver, and I love this player, but I just don't see him doing it again this year, and it's because if you look, his games were just so feast or famine last year, so boom and bust. Doug Baldwin.
Ooh,
that's gonna. I love him.
There's some controversy right there.
It's just as a if it wasn't for 3 of his games where he had over 150 yards, he would have finished as a wide receiver 18. But because of those 3 games where because he only had 3 games over 100 yards. And there were 150, 160, and 171. All the other ones were 90 or less. So if he didn't have those 3 games, he would have finished as wide receiver 18. But with those 3 games, he finished as wide receiver 8. You have to rely on him having those 3 games.
So your measurement of success is whether or not he gets 100 yards?
No.
That's not really fair.
I'm just saying.
You act like 90 yards is a bad game.
I'm just saying if you're looking for him to be consistent, to be your wide receiver 1, I won't do it. He'll be my wide receiver, low end wide receiver 2.
Well, I think that's where he's being drafted anyway, isn't it?
No, he's being drafted as low end 1, high 2.
He's gone pretty low in my mock drafts.
The ones I've done,
he's always gone 3rd round, 4th.
The ones I've seen, though, 3rd and 4th round, I understand. But the thing is if you look at the other wide receivers on the board, he's been going ahead of DeAndre Hopkins, Alshon Jeffrey. These people who have higher ceilings.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him over Hopkins or Jeffrey. I don't think so.
And I'm just saying there's other players I'd rather and just because I'm saying they're a bust doesn't mean I'm saying that they're not going to perform. I'm saying with where they're being drafted at, I don't see the value in it, and that's a bust to me. You're telling me I have to spend high draft capital on somebody who's going to underperform where I could get somebody else in that spot that is going to perform to that spot being drafted in, that capital, That's where I'm deciding where my busts are.
All right, well, last category before we wrap things up here, your bounce backs.
Last bust for me is Jordan Reed. So bounce backs. All right.
Whoa.
Well,
Put the brakes on. Bust Jordan Reed. Go ahead.
Injury prone every year.
That's a fact.
I can't trust him. He's just too
It's
many
the same
injuries.
reason I would never draft Keenan Allen.
Like
the dude's a stud, but he can't stay healthy.
Well, I think there's a difference between Jordan Reed and Keenan Allen. I think Jordan Reed is injury prone. I think Keenan Allen is just unlucky. Who lacerates their kidney? Come on, that's one of those ones that you're just like, man, that's unlucky. All right. I still have faith in Keenan Allen. I know.
You're awful to say something like that. Don't give these people hope. They draft him and then he gets hurt again.
But if you could tell me Jordan Reed would play all 16 games, I'll take him right behind Gronk every time.
Because he's an athlete, man. That guy's potential.
He's a freak.
Is huge. It's up there with, Jimmy Graham and Gronk. And if he's healthy, if he's 100%,
if he's 100% healthy, he's on par with Gronk.
Yeah, but he's never been healthy.
All right, bounce back candidates. Cam Newton. I think you see him take a step forward as long as he's healthy.
Well, it's hard to do worse than he did last season. I'll give you that one.
They added Christian McCaffrey, so he's going to have a check down guy who's going to help take the pressure off of him when Cam Newton wants to run. Kelvin Benjamin looks good, lost some weight. You got Greg Olsen, Father Time.
But you think Greg Olsen's taking a step back?
I think
Cam Newton's going forward?
Yeah, I think whatever yards and touchdowns you see Olsen lose, I think it goes to Benjamin, and I think you see Funchess take a step forward this year.
I'd like to see that.
And so I'm not saying like Greg Olsen is bad. I'm just saying I'm saying Kelvin Benjamin is gonna definitely help.
You're just saying Zach Ertz could finish in front of him. Huh? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, Ertz can finish in front of him. Exactly.
Ertz has more. Ertz has more people to compete with this year for targets. Now with Jeffrey and Smith. Well,
Greg Olsen does too.
Yeah.
It kind of goes both ways. All right. So bounce back candidates for running backs: C.J. Anderson, and Todd Gurley.
I hate your C.J. Anderson pick. I love you, Todd Gurley.
I think C.J. Anderson has the opportunity to come back. Other bounce back candidates for wide receiver: Kelvin Benjamin, Keenan Allen.
Oh, you would do
love
Keenan Allen.
That one.
Oh, I hate both of those.
Oh, you hate both of those?
Yeah.
Really? I thought you would like Kelvin Benjamin.
It's so... You're saying bounce back. When did Kelvin Benjamin have a good year?
His rookie year. He had 10 touchdowns and 1,000 receiving yards.
Okay.
That was a phenomenal
That was like
year.
3 years ago. Yeah. Like, he was out 2 years ago, and then last year, he got all the receptions in the world, or all the targets in the world, and couldn't do a dang thing with it.
I think...
So you think he returns to rookie form?
I think he's lost a lot of weight. When he started this offseason, he was 275 pounds. That's a big boy. That's a small offensive lineman.
For a receiver, that's insane.
That's a small offensive lineman. Because tight ends, I'm sure Greg Olsen's probably only 265.
So the fact that he let himself get that out of shape.
He's down to 220 now.
Still, like...
He looks good, so...
And we don't have to talk about Keenan Allen. We both know. I think he's too much of a risk, too crazy of a risk. I would never bet on him.
High reward.
Well, his reward is crazy. That guy's got speed like nobody else. But
he has top 5 potential if he's healthy the whole season.
That's one of the biggest ifs you could ever.
All right. Last bounce back
candidate.
Don't
do it, guys. Don't draft Keenan Allen.
Last bounce back candidate. Tight end, Tyler Eifert.
I like that one.
I think he's gonna come back. He's healthy. I think this guy can definitely be a difference maker, and he's in a contract year.
I agree with all that.
What about the quick fire?
All right, we prepared a little quick fire around here. This is how it's going to work. So, since you did your breakout busts and bounce backs this week, I'll do mine next week, and you do your quick fire for me next week.
All right.
This week, I'm going to ask you my quick fire. Here's how it's going to go. I'm going to give you names. You're going to pick who you would pick out of them. I gave names that are obviously close together in the rankings. You'll give me a name. If I don't like your name, I'll say defend. You have to defend your position, and then I'll tell you why. I disagree. And here we go. I got 3 quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver questions, and 1 tight end question for you.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler, Carson Palmer.
Palmer.
There you go. Eli Manning or Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton.
Andrew Luck or Kirk Cousins.
Is Andrew Luck healthy? As they are now cousins.
We agree on all of that. Delvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey?
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Because the one thing that worries about me with Christian McCaffrey is...
Make an argument for both then.
Cam Newton's rushing worries me with Christian McCaffrey, so I think you're going to see a lot more.
He does snag a lot of TDs.
I'll do it like this. PPR, Christian McCaffrey, standard, Dalvin
When
Cook.
you're on the 1 yard line, you don't know if McCaffrey's running the ball, or if Cam Newton's just going to dive over. That is a
That's why
big question.
Standard, Dalvin Cook, PPR, Christian McCaffrey.
There you
However,
go.
it is like if you look at preseason, Dalvin Cook, 3 receptions, 30 yards.
Frank Gore or C.J. Anderson?
C.J. Anderson.
Defend.
Oh, I have to defend?
You have to defend.
C.J. Anderson is much younger. Frank Gore is, 32 now?
Well, actually, you know what? With Luck's injury, you don't have to defend that.
Okay. There's...
Thomas Rawls or LeGarrette Blount? I think we know the answer to that after.
Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, I agree with you. Alshon Jeffrey or Larry Fitzgerald?
Alshon Jeffrey.
I think Jeffrey has a higher ceiling. I think Fitz has a way
safer
higher floor. Yeah. So I agree. No, I'd probably go Fitz.
Defend.
For the safer floor. But safer...
Not a gambling man.
Safe floors don't win championships, though. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's a hard one.
I don't know. That year, the 24-man league, Michael Crabtree, man, everybody was hating on me for drafting him. And you know what? And I traded Julio Jones before the playoffs to get Matt Forte because it was safe. And what worked out, Julio Jones didn't do anything, and Matt Forte and Crabtree just carried me.
Oh, that was a great league. I love that 24-man. I need to do something like that again. But this one's going to be good. Eric Decker or Jeremy Maclin? I really like Maclin to step up in Baltimore.
I do, but I don't
and
trust
Decker's...
Flacco because they say Flacco's coming back week 1. Or they say he's going to be on not on the PUP list. He's going to come back by week 1. I don't trust it. I'm going Decker. I think Mariota has more talent than Flacco. I think Decker is more talented than...
I love Maclin, though. I think Jeremy Maclin's going to be the guy in Baltimore, obviously.
So
and I think the Chiefs really held him down in that West Coast offense. I think he's a much better receiver than we've seen the last 2 years with the Chiefs. I'm going to go Jeremy Maclin. Right. Sammy Watkins or Pierre Garçon?
This is a good one.
That is a good one.
I want Sammy Watkins.
I want Pierre Garçon to defend.
Oh, I defend now? All
Bro,
right.
I'm giving you the quick fire. You defend.
And
then I'll tell you why. You're wrong.
I think just the potential, and this is again, you going for the safer floor. I'm going for that high risk.
Pierre Garçon is gonna be the number 1 guy in San Fran.
So Sammy Watkins.
He's leaving a situation where he was behind Jamison Crowder. He was behind Jordan Reed. He was debating. So hold on.
He wasn't behind Jamison Crowder.
Jamison Crowder was the number 1 option last year.
No, they had 2,000-yard receivers last year on that team.
Yeah, and Pierre Garçon's one of them.
And
a guy where you could argue...
Who was the other one?
Deshaun Jackson. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a guy who conceivably was the 3rd option. You could make a case for it, in my opinion.
But
and
if you look at the stats,
now he's going where he's undisputed number 1. And he still put up 1,000 yards last season.
If you look at the stats, though, he was, him and Deshaun Jackson were the number 1 targets.
He's got a way worse quarterback thrown to him, but he's the number 1 guy in San Fran. And
who would you rather have?
Also, listen, they're always going to be down, San Fran. It's probably the worst offense in the league. It's well, besides the Jets, it's a bottom 5 offense. They're always going to be down. They're always going to be trying to pass out of it, and Garçon's the guy getting the targets.
Look at it this way: both receivers,
and Sammy Watkins is injury prone, and there's no way, bro.
I thought I was defending here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Look at it this way: both teams are bottom 5 offense. Both teams have good young running backs. One has an injury prone running back. One has a very talented running back that needs somebody to take the pressure off of him. Both teams have QBs that people both rank in the bottom 5. However, I would still take Goff over Hoyer. I would take Watkins over Garçon. I would take Gurley over Hyde. I see the Rams being more talented overall than San Fran, and I think that helps Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins finishes with more yards than Pierre Garçon this year.
More yards. I'm not going to debate you in yards. Okay, I think you win that one.
More fantasy points than Pierre Garçon this year. at the end of the year?
That's no bet.
No bet? Oh!
It's too close for me. That's why I gave you the question. I thought they were really kind of like equal. Yeah. But I'm going with Garcon, but
that was interesting.
I'm not bold enough to bet on it. So
I do have one other person I want to bring up.
Go ahead.
Anquan Boldin. He's in Buffalo now. He was a number 1 red zone target for Detroit last year. How does he translate to Buffalo with Sammy Watkins gone and a injured Jordan Matthews?
He really had a bounce back year last year with Matthew Stafford. Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor has a great deep arm. It's very underrated.
Yeah, if Jordan Matthews can't beat out a 36-year-old Anquan Boldin though for like the first.
Is he 36?
He's 36 now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he can't.
Father time.
this will like make or break Jordan Matthews this year. We'll see if he's really made of anything, if he can really be a number 1, or if he can't beat out a 36-year-old veteran like Anquan Boldin, who's always been good but not great.
All right.
So, last question: Jordan Reed, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham. All right, guys, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us here in our inaugural episode of From Sacko to Shiva. We invite you guys to send us any questions you want answered in the next episode via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at 816 Podcasting for all of those. Thank you so much.